welcome to week 15 of sock season, February 4th through 10th, 2024. I'm Carol, host of A Stitch in Time, and I can be found on Ravelry as Knits and Pearls. I guess it's technically week 19 of sock season, but I wasn't able to put out any episodes in January, so we're just going to pick up where we left off at the end of December and call this week 15. And this week I'm going to show you 7 pairs of socks knit from patterns from this book by Cookie A, which was published in 2010. Knit Sock Love is divided into 3 sections, with each section featuring a different type of stitch pattern: columns, tessellations, and diagonals. And as you can see from the cover photo, it is a gorgeous book. Not only does it feature really fun, stylized model shots like this, more importantly, it also features beautiful full-page close-up looks at all of the patterns, because we want to see what we're knitting, right? And then something I didn't realize until I pulled this book out to record this episode, I actually have a signed copy. And I can't quite remember the circumstances around having it signed, but I think I must have done it as a pre-order. That's to the best of my recollection. Even though the book wasn't published until 2010, I knit my first pair of socks in 2008. How is that possible, you ask? Well, the book features several previously published designs, including Cookie A's iconic monkey socks. And this design is called Stricken, and I knit these for the Sock Knitters Anonymous September Sock Down back in 2008. And the yarn I used is Hazel Knits Artisan Sock in the Plum Glacé colorway. Now I know they're very dark and hard to see, so I'm going to bring one of the socks closer so that you can get a better look at this intricate cable design. I know, what was I thinking knitting such a fancy sock with such dark yarn? It really does obscure all that beautiful patterning. I am going to just turn my sock sideways on the sock blocker so that you can see the design that runs down the back of the sock. Sorry, doing my best with the lighting I have to work with. It is a dark and gloomy winter day. What better time to talk about nice, cozy hand knit socks? But it does make it challenging when it comes to recording. So there's the front of the sock, and you can see these cables divide and run down the side of each sock. One thing I love about Cookie A Designs is the way that she incorporates the ribbing in her design so that the stitch patterns naturally flow from the ribbing. Hopefully you can see that. And I haven't attempted to record any model shots today, but I'm hoping that when I do that I will have better lighting so that you can truly appreciate the beauty of these Stricken socks. So I'll give you one last look before I move on to my next pair. So there they are. Gorgeous colorway too. Love Hazel Knits yarns, and these did get quite a bit of wear, and they've held up very well over the years. began to take part in a knit along for Knit Sock Love in the Sock Knitters group on Ravelry, not to be confused with the Sock Knitters Anonymous group. And the rest of the socks that I'm going to show you today are a result of that make along. So the first pair that I knit was Pointel. I knit this from Cascade Heritage Sock in the fuchsia colorway, which is color 5617. And as you can see from the patterning on the leg, this pair fit into the diagonals category. Thankfully, I chose a brighter color this time so you can see the stitch patterns more easily. To me, this is just a classic example of the attention to detail that Cookie A pays to her designs. These socks are mirror images of each other. If I were to turn this sock around, you can see that this side looks quite a bit different from the other. And so when you wear them, no matter which foot you put them on, your socks will always be mirror images of each other. So let me bring this a little bit closer so you can get a better look at this really pretty lace pattern and the diagonal lines and the way that the pattern wraps around the sock and comes down to the toes. I think this is just such a fun, vibrant color, and I think it really shows off the stitch patterns well. So next up is Marilinda, which I knit in February of 2011 from Knit Pick Stroll in the Tide Pool Heather colorway. Once again, you can see an intricate cabled pattern, which is repeated 3 times around the sock, including all the way down the back of the sock onto the heel flap. And this is a pattern from the columns category. So let me bring this in closer so you can get a better look at that cable. Once again, you see the attention to detail. The cable flows seamlessly out of the ribbing on the cuff. There you can see it all the way down the heel flap and all the way down the front of the sock. So again, a bit of a darker colorway, but not so much that it obscures the stitch pattern. So definitely another winner from Cookie A. For the April knit along, I chose a design with a tessellated stitch pattern. This is Mona, and I knit these socks from Spud & Chloe Fine Sock in the Anemone colorway, and that's number 7805. Once again, the dark color somewhat obscures the stitch pattern, but the twist in this sock yarn really worked well with the twisted stitches in the design. And when I bring it closer, you will see how well the sock yarn shows off all of the twisted stitches in this pattern. Once again, you can see how the ribbing flows seamlessly into the leg, and then the heel flap also features twisted stitches. Here's a twisted rib, and then the tessellated design goes all the way down the front of the sock. So like many of Cookie A's designs, the patterns are intricate, but once you kind of get the hang of it, they're not too difficult. So a beautiful colorway for a beautiful pair of socks. The next pair, which is appropriately named Wedge, was knit in June of 2011. And this pattern features some really unique construction. You use a series of short rows to create alternating wedges of stockinette and garter stitch. And as you can see, this pattern lends itself really well to a variegated yarn. I used something called Tuscan Grove Venice in the Moonlight Serenade colorway. As you can imagine, these socks were super fun to knit. I always love doing patterns with unique constructions. And this pair of socks features a garter stitch short row heel and then a rounded toe. So very unique and very fun, and it's just another indication of Cookie A's genius. In the summer of 2011, I knit another pair of dark purple socks. Can you tell it's one of my favorite colors? This is Clandestine, which again features a tessellated stitch pattern with lots of twisted stitches. I knit these socks from Quince & Company Turn in the Wampum colorway, which is color 147. And my project notes indicate that this was the first time I'd used this yarn. Just a reminder that I will provide in the show notes links to all of the Ravelry project pages for all of the socks that I show you today. So let me bring this in closer so you can see that tessellated design. Once again, you can see how the ribbing stitches flow seamlessly into the stitch pattern, which runs all the way down to the toe. And this time, the traditional heel flap and gusset just has a regular slipped stitch heel. So once again, Cookie A has designed the socks to be mirror images of each other. The tessellated stitch pattern repeats 3 times around the cuff and foot, and so they look like this on one side and like this on the other. So I really appreciate that attention to detail. So even though they're dark and you can't see the stitch pattern very well from a distance, I really like how these socks turned out. finally, we have Cusp, which I knit in the fall of 2011 from another skein of Spud and Chloe Fine Sock, this time in the Cricket colorway, which is color number 7804. And I think it shows off this lace panel set against a background of 1x1 twisted rib beautifully. So let me bring this in closer so you can see again how well this particular sock yarn works with twisted stitches, and it also works well with the lace. And so I'm just going to move this around on the sock blocker so you can see the inverted V of lace in the back, and then the V of lace in the front, which gives way to this 1x1 twisted rib instep. So yet another fun and innovative design from Cookie A. If you enjoyed today's content, please do like and subscribe. And if you'd like to see some more knitting and other crafty goodness, be sure to check out regular episodes of A Stitch in Time. I'll be back next week with more designs by Cookie A, including some monkey socks and also some mystery socks. So be sure to join me then. Have a great week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.